Draft day is very close, only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
One of my favourite days of the year. It's like Christmas Day for me.
Oh, you've said that
It's
2
not
years
going
in
to
a
be
row.
Christmas Day
Yeah.
for me this year. I've got an exam that day.
Yeah, it's actually on my birthday this year. But it is a two-day thing now, which is weird for the first time ever. What do you think about that?
Yeah, bit iffy. I like to just get it all done in one day, like just make
Yeah.
a big super Christmas as you
I think the
call it.
biggest thing is it'll get to the end of the first round and it'll just be like, I really just was
What
looking
a-
forward to settling in for the whole
Yeah,
draft. But now I won't be able to.
true. Well, I think it's the clubs that want, the recruiters want that extra day apparently.
Yeah.
With the trading, I guess.
I suppose it's fair
Yeah.
enough with the draft day trading.
Yeah, so I think that it's going to be the first day is the first round. So up to about pick 20, I think West Coast will have the last selection.
Yeah.
And then I think it's 10 a.m. the next morning is the second and third, fourth rounds. And I don't think they're televised.
Probably similar to Trade Radio, I'm guessing, if they do anything for it.
Yeah,
Hopefully it is on Trade Radio. 'Cause, yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
watching
Draft
Sam McClure
radios.
and Nick Dell just go at it. That's why we're hoping it's on there.
The second round, like that's pretty early to not be televised.
Yeah, it is.
It's that would be annoying, but I'm not too sure. Like it's not. It's a bit of an unknown at this stage, but I mean, I think So I think they have the second round on the 23rd, the Friday, and then I think they immediately have the rookie and preseason draft straight after, and then I think the delisted free agency period lasts like one more hour after that. So they pretty much have to finalise their lists. I think. I think like they're obviously trying to really make a spectacle out of the draft these days and become a bit more like American sports. That I think it is a good thing from the perspective if you support Carlton or Gold Coast. This is like your grand final. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the day of the year for these fans, the ones that are into it enough to follow the draft.
Yeah.
For them their team has picked one.
It is a good day for probably the bottom 8 teams. It's like one of the better days of the year, especially if you're a consistent bottom 8 finisher. It's always exciting to get those new players.
What kid's going to let me down this year if you're a perpetual bottom 8 loser?
Well, you have that problem when it's not even football related. Busher has 3 sons for anyone.
Yeah.
But obviously this year we have the potential for draft day trading. And I think I'd say whoever made that decision watched the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner and enjoyed it and was like, you know what? We need that in AFL.
Creates a bit of excitement, probably a bit more coverage around the actual day itself.
A lot more of a headache for list managers who have this whole extra thing to think about.
There's a lot of talk that Saints are going to be a very big player in the draft day in terms of trading.
So basically put the 2 South Australian teams into a pissing contest, is that what you're getting at there?
I mean, that's the
popular
rumour.
theory.
Yeah, because of the wealth of South Australian talent this year, I'm sure both of those clubs would be very keen to get their hands on as many of those really gun players as possible.
I think there's picks like Gold Coast have 2 and 3, and then St Kilda have 4.
Yep.
And those are the picks you think are going to be highly sought after for the South Australian clubs. And I think St Kilda is the one. I think it was Tom Brown reported they are looking at moving. The rumour is that it was St Kilda's pick 4.
Yep.
For 8 and 13 from Adelaide, and Adelaide would move up to pick 4 to get, I presume, Isaac Rankin.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that's who they're going for there. Maybe Connor Rosie, but I'm going to say Rankin as a guess.
Yeah.
This kind of leads into one of the questions the Discord, one of our Discord members posed to us in the group chat.
Yep.
So yeah, we've had great questions come through from the boys and maybe women. I'm not sure. I think they're all boys in the chat regarding the draft.
Okay.
So this is from Dave. All right.
G'day, Dave.
G'day, Dave. Thanks for listening. So should basically St Kilda look to move this pick 4 for 2 later picks? Should they move it and back themselves to draft a better player with the 2 picks, or should they hold on to it and maybe look at trying to get a real star talent like Isaac Rankin in?
I mean, obviously it depends what the picks are. So give me a scenario.
I'll say 4 for 8 and 13. But Adelaide have 4 picks between 8 and 21, so it could really be any combination between 8, 13, 16 and 21.
It's a tough one. For me, Saints do lack top-end talent. but that's a good deal as well. So I guess they need to have a look at who they would take it for. Decide if they really, really want that player. If they do, obviously, keep the pick.
Yeah, because you could argue that because the rumour is they're into the King boys, but they could think there's one around at 8. However, I don't think they necessarily need that. They've got plenty of good calls. They probably need more of a dynamic mid.
I would definitely think they would have gone for a mid. I mean, I don't know what their draft policy is in terms of drafting best available or what.
Well, we saw them draft McCartan when he was arguably not as good as Petrarca in that draft year when they had pick 1, which kind of suggests they do sometimes pick on need.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, let's say it's a choice between rank and then 8 and 13. I've had a bit of a change of philosophy recently with the draft, and I actually think provided it's in like the first half of the draft, quantity of picks will generally overcome quality. I saw a chart once that had the distribution of
the premiership players.
The premiership players and where areas of the draft they come from.
It's like 2 pretty much in most brackets, wasn't it? It was 2 players per.
I think it was 4 from the top 10 or 3 from the top 10 or something like that, and then 2 after that. But generally, it's very evenly spread.
Even pick 60s had 2 premiership.
Yeah.
Well, it's been statistically proven that if you can trade a top 5 pick for a late first round, early second round, you will statistically have a high chance of doing better with those 2 picks than with that top 5 picks. Which shows that, I mean, the draft can be a little bit overrated. The order can, especially these days, I think it's a very hyped up thing, draft order.
That's where I was going to get at, particularly in lieu of the trade period that just happened. But these picks, I still think were far too overvalued as trade assets compared to these established players who've had 4 or 5 years on the track showing what they can do and got 4 or 5 more.
I mean, you can look at any draft. Look at last year's draft. Where was Warple taken?
40s, 50s. I think 40s.
Yeah.
43, I think, off my head.
I mean,
I'm probably wrong, but
you'd say he had a better year than just about every player in that draft, almost. You know, Rayner's got a lot of X factor, but he definitely had Davies, Uniacke covered. Probably had Dow covered. Probably Brayshaw and Chera. Probably had them covered as well. I mean,
maybe not Chera, but Brayshaw I'd probably give you.
Different. I mean, I think for stats on the board, he's beaten everyone.
Chera had that 30 posi game.
Yeah, Warple had a few 30 posi games.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at a player over the course of like maybe 5 years rather than just one. I'd say a good way of looking at it is just look at like past a couple of years ago. How many players in the top 10 end up being spuds? Yeah. I'd say like half of them, anecdotally off the top of my head. I reckon you'll find that you got about a 50-50 shot of actually nailing a kid.
Who's the worst top 5 spud in the last 5 years?
It's not 5 years, but I've got a good example. John O'Rourke, he was taken with the pick 2, wasn't it? But then they traded Hawks traded a top pick for him to get him in as well. So it was basically 2 first rounder picks for effectively duds for one guy.
Who's the worst top 5 spud in the last, say, 5 years?
What happened 5 years ago was 2013. Yeah, so 2013, pick 1, Tom Boyd. I'd say not terrible. He's still on the list, a different list.
Won them the flag.
Arguably won them the flag.
Yeah, I'd say that's fine. Pick 2 was Josh Kelly, great pick.
Yeah.
Pick 3, 2013. What was Billings? Billings
was 3. Yeah. Bont was 4.
Bont was 4. I probably picked the best.
5 was Kolajasny.
Okay, Kolajasny. He's not an absolute spud, but okay, that's a bad example. I think we just picked one of the strongest drafts in recent times. Okay, 2014, McCartan, Brayshaw, and Petrarca.
I mean, McCartan, he hasn't quite got the ball rolling yet. I still think there's potential there.
Yeah, Jack Watt's potential.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It's pretty early. He's only like 22.
Harsh, but
yeah, we probably made the mistake of trying to go off the top of our heads. There has been definitely tons of like top 5 spuds. What was 2012?
Quite often we talk about the period of time when, for those of you who don't know, us at True Footy we have a theory that for a period of time everything was leaning towards more athletic ability rather than AFL ability, and I think Jack Watts was definitely, he was like the linchpin of that time period, where they're like, look at this guy, he's really agile, he's tall,
he was a year younger too.
Great jump, he's a year younger, picked him for all his athletic attributes, but at the end of the day, he can't get the football.
Yeah, it's mental. Like, I think a lot.
And he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player.
Yeah,
he's okay.
There's been worse. Yeah. He just gets compared to so highly because he's a number one pick. Exactly right.
Which number one pick really has been a transcendent talent though. Like a transcendent star of the game.
I think across the best would be Rewalt and Hodge. Were both pick ones. Was Goddard a pick one? I think he might have been. Yeah.
He was pretty good.
Whitfield's a pretty good player in the AFL right now. Maybe not transcendent. Deledio is a solid player, but generally, probably
like best player in the game. When's the last time the best player in the game's been a number one pick?
Yeah, probably
Hodge and Rewalt were probably the closest.
Yeah.
Rewalt was probably the best in the AFL for a little while there. Yeah. You could argue.
Possibly. I can't. Well, what time frame was that? Like around, I guess, 09-10 when they were.
Yeah.
You had Ablett, Bartel, Dane Swan running around.
Before that, I was thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. But there is a lot of SA talent, as you alluded to.
4 top 10.
Yeah. Well, this is just all players I think can go top 20. Isaac Rankin, Jack Lukosius, Connor Rozee, Jackson Haitley, Luke Valenti, Jez Mclennan, and Sam Sturt. I don't know. I just had list 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. And I think the 2 SA clubs have 7 picks in the top 21.
How many was that again?
7.
Could you count that out for me again? I was a bit confused.
Rankin, Lukosius? No, I'm just kidding. But you get my point.
Yeah.
There's a lot. That's a massive concentration of talent.
Yeah.
Like, WA haven't had that kind of talent in a draft ever, I don't think.
I think that we've had years pretty comparable to that.
Not 7 in the top 20, I don't reckon. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think there's probably years where we went close to that.
I'm going to 07 off the top of my head. Marston, Palmer, Morton, Myers. That was all in the top 10. I can't remember after that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, moving on, not too fixating too much
Kennedy
on that
draft?
Kennedy wasn't that draft. Josh Kennedy?
Oh, was he the draft?
Are you talking about West Coast one?
Yeah.
He was 05, so he was a couple of years before,
Okay.
yeah. He's pick 4, to answer your question. Okay, so let's say, a question I was going to pose to you boys was, if St Kilda don't trade with the SA clubs and they hold on to 4, what sort of player do you think they would be taking anyway? I feel like that's a really interesting pick that could kind of shape the top 4.
We alluded to it a bit before, probably with the midfielders sort of.
Yeah.
Smith, he's the obvious choice at number 4.
Yeah. That's a good suggestion, I reckon.
Yeah.
Bailey Smith is probably the best available pure midfielder in that range.
Yeah.
Jai Caldwell seems to be bolting, but at the moment, I probably agree with that call.
You'd have to think if Max King's available, he'd be a shot there.
Yeah.
You'd have to put Rankin a shot there.
Yeah.
I think those 3.
Rozee even.
Yeah, if he's still
Rozee,
there.
I still think that's slightly above for Rozee at the moment.
I think the only reason Rozee is linked that highly is because I've read that him and Lukosius are good mates, and they want to group them together if the Gold Coast take those 2 picks. Okay. That's just what I've read.
Okay.
And I've read other phantom drafters have the same thoughts. Could completely be bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I've echoed my thoughts. I think if I was Gold Coast, I'd get both King brothers for that reason.
Especially losing their 2 captains who are their 2 spine.
Yeah, exactly. One defender, 1 forward. Makes sense. I mean, they could do with anyone, really.
Yeah, I was going to say. Ideally, you'd want someone who can play immediately, but it's hard, isn't it?
Are they actually doing that at the moment, though? They've just shipped off Aaron Hall and Jared Lyons.
What's that, sorry?
Are they actually looking for people who can play immediately, or are they doing a rebuild?
You'd bloody hope so. Well, even if they're rebuilding, you want someone who can play, relatively.
What they've done this year suggests that they are rebuilding.
Yeah, I know.
They got rid of Barlow as well.
Yeah, I just meant they don't want to have another project player who's going to take 5 years before they're good and then leave as soon as they are ready to play. Yeah.
No, I do agree.
Yeah. You can still be rebuilding and want more developed prospect players.
I think there's more important things than that, personally. I think the character of the person they're going to pick is the most important thing. They have to pick pretty much who's the most likely to stay up there, whether that's a project player or an immediate impact player.
Yeah. I think there's like the risk of getting off topic. I think it's just the reality. There's dangers now if you're an interstate club rebuilding.
Yeah.
Because a player like Fremantle's starting to feel the pinch a little bit. They obviously went through a deliberate rebuild and they've just lost a few players. Probably
Weller and Neil.
Yeah, Weller and Neil. Crozier and Ballick. Ballick was probably always going to leave. Crozier, you probably don't really care about, but he went to the reigning premiers. No, not reigning premiers, but he went to the Bulldogs. Who
he went last year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want. I'd be pretty annoyed if Ed Langdon or Chera turned around next year and said they wanted to go back. I think there's a problem. And
I think it's a problem that interstate clubs in general face, and I think like West Coast will try and avoid rebuilding. Adelaide and Port should, because we've seen what happens to the Queensland clubs.
Yeah, I think West Coast probably West Coast and Swans are the two interstate clubs that can generally get away with it, I think, because they're successful. People are usually going to want to stay there. But I think for Fremantle, Brisbane, Gold Coast, maybe slightly Port, I think those clubs are generally always going to struggle with that a little bit.
Well, Port has. They've lost Wingard and Pollock.
Yeah.
Two of their probably top.
I mean, Pollock's not from Victoria, though. He's from
exactly. They're both from
so is Wingard, yeah. That's it.
So that shows the player retention can be an issue. If guys that live from that state want to go, imagine guys that aren't from South Australia.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a money thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's true. You'd think.
Adelaide's only an hour from Melbourne, I guess, compared to Perth. It's 3.
Boys, who are your favourite prospects in the draft? We generally always have favourites. Have you really, like, every year I have one or two.
Let's maybe talk about top-end favourites.
Sure.
And then talk about sort of bolters.
Well, someone, it's all in the format, mate.
Okay,
It's all listed. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody did actually ask us who our favourite diamond in the roughs are.
Okay, yep.
So maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's maybe start with the top-end talent. Is there someone in let's say top 30? Top 30. Yeah. Is there anyone that you looked at and thought, he's going to be a good player?
Yeah, I think I've been... I was going to say blowing Rankin's horn all year, but that sounds a bit rough, doesn't it?
I should hope not.
No, I think he's a great talent, personally.
Sure. Yeah. You're pretty confident he's going to make the grade, yeah.
Yeah.
He just looks like a class above, doesn't he, when he's like slipping through all those players.
He actually speaking of Wingard, he actually reminds me of Wingard a little bit. Yeah.
Attitude-wise as well, by the sounds of it.
Well, I mean, that's why... Sounds like there's a good chance he'll go to a South Australian club, so...
Yeah.
Let's hope attitude isn't an issue.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they thought there was a bit of homesickness concern, which was the same with Wingard at the time, I remember. So, yeah, it's actually a very similar case.
GWS had all 5 of the top 5 picks.
Yeah, Wingard... allegedly, Wingard said that he wasn't going to play for him or something like that. So he slid one more pick to pick 6. So
what about you, Jesse, for the top-end talent?
Liam Stocker. He's a bit of he's not quite in the top 10. He's probably just slightly sitting right outside there, but I just think he's got captain material.
Quietly got my fingers crossed for Fremantle, and he's got a very close link with Brayshaw as well.
Yeah, he seems like a very switched on kid, which I think is a great sign. He's the sort of guy you want to get into your football club regardless of what your draft needs are.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just got a good feeling he's going to be successful.
I agree.
Do you have anyone, Busher?
I do like Max King. Like, he's just the physical gifts, the size, the power.
Football attributes.
Like can take a grab, kick goals.
PG, please.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting. You always favour, I've noticed, like key forwards in key position and athlete. Part of that would probably be basketball. The other part of that is probably because Fremantle kind of needed someone like that in the last few years.
It's that
Personally, I actually think I'm not sold on either King twin.
That's a good point to bring up, because one of our other Discord questions, I believe from Michael Stanton, a regular contributor on the chat. How you going, Michael? He has actually asked us, will the King twins survive at AFL level, or are they being carried by their size at under 18s, their size advantage? So they sit at 201 centimetres each and about 85, 86 kilometres each.
It's still a height advantage. They do definitely need to beef up though. That's a given. But in terms of height advantage, they've still got a height advantage at AFL level.
Yeah, I mean, if King is either of them, 201, they're going to be taller than most key forwards and key backs.
I saw 202.
They could have grown.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is about looking at heights is if they're measured in June, it's going to be different in December.
Like Patrick Cripps, he's grown shitloads.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think?
I kind of worry. I think part of what makes them attractive to a lot of people is their versatility.
True.
But I don't know. I kind of get like a Ben Reid, Sam Reid feel off them.
In what sense?
A Sam Reid feel where it's really jack of all trades, master of none.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, that's just a complete...
Yeah, a vibe more than... Exactly. I understand what you say. Yeah, you've said that to me before. You like a player to nail down like a real niche. Or not even a niche, but like a role. Yeah, fair enough.
That's one reason why I think any suggestion of playing McGovern up forward for the Eagles is ridiculous, because he's arguably the best defender.
He's not a good forward.
Well, he's a good forward, but he's a great defender.
Sure. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. To answer Michael's question, I would say I'm not in a position to say whether he's not going to survive. I don't think his height is going to be an issue. Like you say, Bush, he's going to have the same size advantage you'd think. He's going to probably put on another 15 kilos to play at AFL level. He's going to be a monster. If he doesn't make it, it'll probably be other reasons. Oh, either of them, Max or Ben. I'm just saying, like, if he doesn't make it, it won't be because he's not, like, he doesn't
have the ability to.
Thank you. It won't be because he can't adapt.
Yeah.
It'll be mental. Yeah. It'll be injury, whatever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's already done an ACL, which is like unfortunate for a 17, 18-year-old. So.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So maybe we'll go to a quick break and then we'll continue.
Sounds good.
Okay. Back from the break. We just went through our favourite top prospects. Is there anyone that you guys think maybe later in the draft? Who asked this question? I will give him credit because it was a good question. Bruce. Young Bruce from Discord. Good contributor. Gave us a lot of questions today, actually. Any hidden gem or someone who isn't talked about is one of the top 10, 15 that you think will make it and has really caught your eye? Maybe I'll start us off.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at your faces. You guys don't look happy with that question. All right. I got two.
Okay.
I'll start with Jez Mclennan.
Yep.
Not so much a diamond in the rough. He will probably go early 20s, late teens at this rate. He's a intercepting halfback flanker. I think there's a big place for intercepting defenders in the modern game at the moment. Feel like he can play straight away. Good skills. I'd love West Coast to pick him up. Think he'll make it. Second one is probably someone a little less talked about, and that's Tom Sparrow from South Australia.
Oh, it is a funny name, isn't it?
What's Grinder?
Stop looking at my dick, bro.
Is that future captain Tom Sparrow?
Tom Sparrow, yeah. Good one. No.
Say that, go over his head off.
He's a real, inside bullocking sort of mid with, actual speed and contested ability. I'm a big fan. He's a little bit less heralded. I think he played, little to no champs time, from memory, off the top of my head. But I've seen a lot of footage of him playing, lower level football. Really caught my eye. I think he'll probably go 30s or later.
Okay.
And, I could be totally wrong on that, but it's just somebody I wouldn't mind the Eagles drafting, even if at 22.
Oscar Brownless.
Ooh.
He's got the heritage, he's got the genes. And I've seen some of his highlights. He looks pretty handy. I don't know if you saw his snap that he scored.
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, he scored a really, really good snap. And Billy was up there going nuts in the stands for him, which was good.
Something different?
Yeah, he's got the... He's got the genes.
I wonder where he's going to go in the draft, because he's not really talked about in the top bunch, but being the son of such a club legend, you'd think they're going to throw him a bone, so to speak. Sure. Yeah. Probably later in the draft.
Busher?
I suppose if you're going to make...
I want it to be outside the top 30, please.
It's going to be Ben King, isn't it?
Jared Cameron, I was going to say. Actually.
Oh, that's a great suggestion, actually. I agree with that.
He's a guy that probably depends on what club takes him and other factors involved in his development, but he's a guy that, if those factors are right, he could be...
Bit of talk about West Coast.
Well, he's a next generation academy player for West Coast, so they have access to him should he accept.
Oh, he's stuffed then. Yeah, that'll ruin.
Yeah, he'll just probably play in a premiership. Wrecked. But so West Coast would get like a 25% discount on any bid made by an opposition team, and he's probably going to go late in the draft anyway. But it's a great suggestion. He does look really talented. You have to think on pure talent. He would probably go higher in the draft if he was a normal prospect. But the academy players, unless they're the top players, don't really get bid on that much. It's the same as father-sons.
Yeah, that middle range you definitely don't see it. They're either top end or...
Yeah, they kind of let them go to the end of the draft if it's like they say with father-sons, there's an understanding within the industry, like unless a player is absolute top quality, they'll generally let the club have them at like bargain prices. So
you could say that even with the Watermans, that sort of thing.
Both exactly. Picks, won't they? Both literally, I think both the last picks of the draft. Yeah. But brother of Charlie Cameron. I don't think we actually said that for anyone listening. Small forward, very talented. Maybe some maturity issues, I think, there.
Cousin of Jeremy.
Yeah. And son of director James.
Avatar.
Yeah.
And the Titanic.
Yeah, the Titanic as well. Yeah. No, great suggestion. Cool. Any others?
Marlon,
or do we exhaust it?
Or Marley?
More, yeah, that's a good one. Keeping it with the WA theme.
Yeah.
Mature age talent. I think he's like 26, 27.
Yeah, 26, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to go play AFL.
Yeah. Do you think he's closer to Tim Kelly or a more average mature age recruit in terms of...
I don't think he's anywhere near Tim Kelly, to be honest, personally. But I think he can play AFL. Yeah.
I'm going to throw a bone to... He's touted as a top 10, but I really like the look of Taron Thomas.
Okay, yep.
And there's...
Another academy player.
Yeah, bloody North Melbourne. They've been quite active this off season, but I think they're going to get a good player there.
True. I mean, you think North Melbourne obviously traded actively and get this academy player kind of fall into their laps. Yeah. What do you think about this academy stuff? Joyce, you and I were talking about it a bit on the car over here. This year, there seems like a big concentration of academy talents. You got... Excuse me, I'm going to burp because I'm just having a beer.
You got Blakey, you got Quainer, you got
Taron
Thomas.
They're all arguably top 10 talents.
I'm kind of over it. I don't think it works. I think it works in games like the Premier League when there's not a draft.
If you think about what the connection is to these clubs as well, it's really small.
Yeah.
Taron Thomas is from Tasmania. North Melbourne play games in Tasmania. They've got some academy there now.
That's it. If they're a 250 game player for your club, then you can sort of can relate to it a bit more. But yeah, someone like the Nick Blakey one you were telling me.
Yeah, well, North Melbourne kind of get one back because Nick Blakey is the father-son for North Melbourne. He lives in Sydney. His dad's a coach at Sydney, I believe. He's grown up going for Sydney, and he's part of their academy, and he nominated Sydney rather than North Melbourne. So they kind of lost Blakey and gained Thomas.
I'll tell you what, imagine if Blakey had nominated North.
Yeah, they would have had a hard time matching.
For both.
They would probably, I would have said they choose Blakey. True, they would have kept their pick, wouldn't they? Yeah. Exactly right, yeah. But
would have been off for a good one then. Just same old story of almost there, North fans. I'm only joking. I'm a Freo fan, we're pretty much.
But I mean,
we're the north of WA.
There are worse things to be. So, I mean, look at Sydney is a classic example of a team that does need, they need no real assistance, and they've gained Heaney, Mills, and now Blakey they've got access to them.
Blakey's talked up as like a top 3
potentially
player in the draft as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Thing is with these drafts and academies and stuff, if you want to have a free market of like the player economy, you either all or nothing.
Exactly.
My thought.
Yeah.
Like even with the trades and stuff, like I've advocated for, saying teams should be able to trade players to wherever.
Yeah.
But even though that's a difficult thing to achieve in Australia,
especially with all the player power.
Yeah, exactly. But
why do West Coast have access to Jared Cameron through the Next Generation Academy? I understand it's like if they're from rural areas.
Yeah, because I know the Dockers Academies like Kalgoorlie type.
Yeah, they've got 2 low-profile players through their academy this year. Tom Medat, I don't know how to say his name, and somebody else. But I mean, like, it's a bit random why the lines of these guys are drawn. I'd imagine I prefer just no academies. I guess it gains exposure to to players that you wouldn't like normally.
Yeah.
By all means, have the academies to help improve the skill and quality of these kids before they come in, but don't have the alignment sort of.
Yeah.
Even if these academies are run by the AFL rather than individual clubs to maintain that integrity.
Yeah, that's true. I actually got a bit of a left field question from one of our Discord posters. HK Pig is his name.
Yeah, the HK Pig.
I'm guessing reference to a Holden HK or something like that, probably.
For some reason, I had Hong Kong in my head. It could be. He could live in Hong Kong. He's asking, should Irish players nominate for the normal draft instead of being Category B rookies? So now Irish players have traditionally you can just sign with a club, but should they be able to nominate for the draft?
They'd probably penalise the players to an extent because clubs would be less likely to gamble on them if they have to spend an actual draft pick on them rather than a Category B rookie.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's the Category B thing looks better because the clubs look at the Category B list as an opportunity to look for out of the box ways to improve their list.
Yeah, that's true.
If you just put the Irish guys in the open pool, there's a good chance a lot of them will slip through.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of incentivising the Irish guys to have a crack at AFL. And I don't really see the downside of the Category B rookies. I think it works well.
It's even the same with basketballers. Like the Category B is a big thing for like the project basketballers.
Right.
Like all these ex-AIS basketball kids that realise they can either make the same money playing football in Australia or have to go to Europe and probably make less money and be in a country where no one speaks English.
Props to
the
Irish players that come over and do so. Like Zach Tuia, he's a great player.
True.
Pierce Henley, he's a really good player. Had injury issues the last few years.
True.
Ty Kennelly, he was a great player for years at the Swans.
The gun players are few and far between enough though for it to not be an issue. Like if they were pumping out talent and players were signing him left, right, and clubs would, then it would be different.
Exactly. I agree.
But I think the way it is works pretty well.
Yeah.
Just getting back to the academy thing, one last thing. Conor Macphail is another player I think might be a lesser known player that might actually not take the league by storm, but I think he might actually come good. They compare him to Nat Fyfe. He's a 190 centimetre midfielder forward. Can kick a goal. Macphail. It's an interesting name.
It is.
Clearly very Irish. But academy player for Brisbane Lions.
Okay.
I'm not sure where he'll get matched, maybe in the 20s. That's probably about his range based on talent. But just thought I'd throw that one out there. So a strong year for academy players.
Too strong, is it? Perhaps.
Well, this is the year I think they might need to review it and think, is this a net benefit? Why is Sydney getting all these players?
A lot of these academies are recently founded though. Like the Dockers never had theirs until a year or two ago. It's a recent phenomenon, so they're probably going to try and stick with it. Like, a new idea, it'll work.
Yeah,
It's still good.
The Eagles and Dockers ones are pretty speculative talents.
Yeah.
It's not a problem when they're late in the draft. I don't think that's an issue for the league because it's just gaining exposure for the player. But this Tasmania Academy is just taking the best player from Tasmania.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware. And same with New South Wales. Sydney and GWS just split the New South Wales players.
Yeah, there's a difference between having access to a whole state's worth of talent and maybe a couple of country towns that have a collective population of 30,000.
I mean, I guess the point is it encourages New South Welshmen, New South Wales kids to engage more in football because they probably have a better chance of staying in their home state. Because they want to grow football in these states. If there's more Queensland kids getting drafted, then it's better for the Queensland clubs.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It kind of makes sense. It's not ideal, but I guess.
But again, have these academies just make them. I guess the home state factor that you did just argue.
Yeah. It basically is just going to be an anomaly like the Sydney Swans get a gun player. Yeah. Like they've easily profited the most out of academies, I think, off the top of my head. So
that's the thing, Sydney's population's 4 or 5 million. That's nearly a quarter of Australia's population that they've got exclusive access to.
Yeah, but they just don't pump out the kids, so to speak. They
Yeah, but still, if you've got access to that 1 in a million, you've got exclusive access to that 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, whatever the number of... Which seems to be a good number, the amount of good talent that's coming out. Penny Mills and
Yeah, that's true. The numbers are starting to stack up. Yeah. Heaney, Mills and Blakely's actually Blakey's got like 3 gun players, but yeah. All right, another question from the Discord chat. Who are the best players in each position? So we'll break this down.
Draft.
In the draft, not across the AFL. We'll start with midfielders. This one's probably the easiest one.
Walsh seems to be the consensus.
Yeah. Bailey Smith, I think you alluded to.
Inside mid, yeah. Walsh. What about outside mid?
Who's a pure outside mid? I mean, there's a few of them that can play.
Most of them are more versatile, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, if you're just a pure outside mid, it's harder to get drafted early these days, it seems.
Yeah.
I guess Thomas plays a bit outside.
There's a bit more risk on the outside mids, I feel like, because if you don't work out, it's just kind of...
It can often come down to like what team drafts you as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're an outside mid drafted to Hawthorn, much better chance to come good than if you go to Carlton. Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
Actually, a bit of a tangent. I was going to ask you boys, who would you pick one if you were Carlton, and who would you pick if your beloved Fremantle was picking a pick one? It can be the same answer. Who do you think is the best player? Let's tell him.
After our trade period, the answer for both is Walsh.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because now that we've got Hogan and Lobb,
you don't need Max King or Jack Lukosius. Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah.
Because Lukosius was the one I'd been eyeing off all year if we had a shit year and he somehow fell to us sort of thing. But now that we've got Hogan and Lobb, Walsh for sure.
Sure.
Give us that instant Lockie Neal sort of extra coverage.
Yeah. Well, not instant.
Not instant, but you know what I mean.
I do. What about yourself, Joycey? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm torn.
You are a Rankin fan. Do you think he's worthy of the number one pick? Or
probably not. I'd probably still go Lukosius either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good choice. I will say Lukosius on talent. And with West Coast, I would probably go the midfielder.
Interesting.
Haven't fully decided whether it's Walsh or Smith, but I'd probably go Walsh, a bit more dependable.
If I was West Coast, I'd go the forward. I think with Kennedy slowly coming towards the end.
Just drafted Brander and Allen. And
I wouldn't say they're sure things yet.
They're not. But, I mean, if you think about who's the next midfielders, like Ainsworth and Hamish Brayshaw are the next two cabs off the rank.
Still got a lot of years in some of the others, though, like Gaff and Sheed.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I would probably still...
Okay.
I mean, because what if Lukosius, Brander and Allen all come good? Then we got a massive problem.
Well, it's not really a massive problem, but...
You probably have to trade one.
And flip them
can
for
get a very good player.
picks.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to personally just draft a player I want that I can see staying rather than avoid trading. I would probably take Walsh, though, for West Coast.
And back to the last question.
Yes, sorry.
Was the positions.
Yes.
What about forward and back?
Okay, so Bruce has asked us, what about a small forward? I will butt in there and say Ned McHenry, pressure forward, 178 centimetres, can play a bit of midfield, Geelong Falcons boy, probably going to go in the 20s. Generally, small forwards don't go too much earlier.
Got to go Rankin.
Yeah, I guess
if you're calling him.
If you call him a small forward, then that's probably an obvious one that I missed.
Honourable Curtis Taylor mention.
Yeah, he's about 185 though, 186.
I mean, he plays half forward, so
yeah.
Small forward. I guess you could call a half forward a small forward, couldn't you? I mean, it depends
General
what you classify it as.
I suppose. I would have said medium forward, but I guess when I think of small forward, I would think of someone who's like a pressure or a crummer forward. But yeah.
If with say non-key forwards,
yeah, okay, like general forwards. Yeah. A general forward, I'd probably say Rosie, other than Rankin.
Isn't Rosie more of a mid?
No, forward mid.
Fair.
I'd say predominantly forward, but hopefully become a mid. Yeah.
And down back. Is it Ben King? He's the highest.
Yep, Ben King is the highest by far. There's not too many key backs. I think the next best is probably Collingwood's father son Will Kelly.
Yeah,
that's going a fair way back.
There's
Quaino.
I forgot his name. WA.
Jordan Clark, yeah.
Jordan Clark,
yep.
Yeah. A lot of good raps around Jordan Clark as a halfback flanker.
Yeah, best WA talent this year.
Yeah.
Mclennan is one of the players I just suggested. And Quaino is a halfback, so...
Collingwood.
Yep, Collingwood do pretty well.
Do Collingwood have the peaks to get both the...
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
Yeah. It's bullshit. Like, it depends on when Quaynor gets... Yeah, it is a bit bullshit, like Quaynor getting going straight to Collingwood. Will Kelly's a father-son, I get that. That's a great rule.
Yeah, I'm all for father-son, but in terms of other than that...
Yeah.
And that free market.
Yeah.
To beat a dead horse.
Key forwards, Lukosius, Max King.
Yeah.
Probably...
Lukosius, I'd give it the edge.
Yeah, I would pick Lukosius too, but I think after that, like... Oh, Blakey, actually. Lukosius, Blakey and Max King is like arguably three of the best 4 or 5 talents in the draft pool. So, good year for key forwards if you've got to pick at the top end.
Imagine if Sutherland was there as well. It'd be...
He was last year, wasn't he?
Was he last year?
I think he was last year, yeah.
Okay.
Will Sutherland? Yeah. No, they chose cricket, obviously, but yeah. I think he was last year's draft day. Okay. Yeah.
Honourable mention to Lloyd Pope, is it?
The cricketer. Yeah.
What a legend that guy is. I just wanted to say it on camera.
Yeah, he had a great starring role in the movie It.
That's harsh.
He's the clown.
Oh, I thought he was that Carrot Top dude. The comedy shows.
No,
what's his name? Sean White, the snowboarder?
Yeah, that is brutal. Hope Lloyd Pope doesn't tune into this podcast.
Nah, you're a legend, Lloyd Pope.
Yeah, he actually looks pretty talented.
He looks extremely good.
Yeah, like for
It took 7-4 in his second.
He's a teenager too.
Yeah. Youngest to do it since the 60s.
Ridiculous.
Wickets,
What a legend. What a legend. Back to football. Best rucks. This is a question I've been asked before on the Discord chat, and it is bare. Is Slim Pickens for rucks?
Yeah.
Bailey Williams.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, he was 6'7", bro.
Yeah. He's a good ruck.
198 centimetre Bailey Williams is seems clearly the best ruck forward.
198. Ooh.
It's short for a ruck, but he can play forward. So
he does like pretty type.
Could hit the 2 metre mark anyway, I reckon. At this age. Kieran Briggs is another player. I think he's a GWS Academy player. Okay. That's the second ruck. So I think that pretty much covers all the best players by position.
Yeah.
Bolters and sliders. Every year, the draft sees players picked in a what the hell moment. We're like, who the hell is that? I remember Tom Dode.
Starcevic.
Literally, yeah, he was, yeah.
Dode,
I'd heard of Starcevic, but I'd never heard of Tom Dode when they picked him at pick 17 or whatever.
Yeah, and what a good pick it was, by the way.
Yeah, bloody good pick. Yeah, great recruiters at Adelaide. They're a great recruiting club. And there's going to be players that slide. Usually, like, every second year there's a player you think is going to go real early, doesn't get drafted at all. That does happen.
I think we've all got somewhat the same person in mind for a slider. WA, small, Ian Hill, yeah. I almost forgot his name. Yeah, Ian Hill. I think he's one. He was almost a top 10 a couple of months ago.
Top 5 at the start of the year, wasn't he? Some people sort of...
I don't remember top 5, but top 10 probably, yeah.
So I think he's probably, for want of a better word, obvious slider.
I think the concern is where he plays at AFL level, being a small forward midfielder. He's quite a light-bodied mid. As we see, it's hard to make it as a midfielder if you're not over 183 centimetres. So he's just got his challenges. That might be why he's sliding a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, nothing against the kid, but I'd probably not be in favour of Freo getting him at 14. I'd be probably slightly annoyed at that.
What about 31?
31 I think that'd be a good pick, to be fair. On the talent, it's worth the risk.
Sure, and Fremantle do need their small to medium forwards in the list, I think.
And Freo's the team that can get him right because I've got his cousins there to help influence him in a positive manner.
That's true, and he's a local, so...
Yeah.
Ideally for Fremantle, if we could get a stocker at 14 and then, Hill at 31, I'd be very, very happy with that.
That would be a really good draft. Any other sliders?
I think... I'm almost thinking Ben King. Not a huge slide.
Sure.
But maybe just out of the top 10.
Yeah. I read today that Max King could even miss the top 10 if St Kilda don't pick him. Who knows? I would probably say no at this early stage.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But, yeah. Interesting. I had Ian Hill as well. I'm going to go with Bailey Williams, the forward ruck that we just talked about.
Yeah.
I saw him probably top 20, top 25 not long ago. Seems to be sliding down. And like you said, Bushy, a little bit short for a ruck. So I think.
And rucks have been sliding the past few years in the draft. I know it's like DeConing was highly touted and he was a slider, wasn't he?
Yeah, Sam Hayes was another one. You might be thinking of Sam Hayes.
I was more thinking Sam Hayes, actually.
Yes.
Well, they've been actually very hard to read because there's been a lot of bolters as well. I mean, when Freo picked Sean Darcy, a lot of people didn't think he was even going to go in the draft.
I think what might scare clubs off rucks is the development time you got to put into them.
Exactly.
And it's the same with key forwards. If they don't go top 3, they go pretty mid to late, don't they?
It's tough though because it's a luxury position. So if you
True.
desperately need a ruck, then you're probably a lot more willing to go early on the ruck.
True.
As we saw Fremantle do.
Yeah.
They went pretty aggressively at
Boyd,
Meek and Darcy.
Yeah. True. Jones.
And Scott Jones, yeah. Whereas, so if you think your team needs a ruck, I feel like they're probably a lot more willing to take the punt early. So I just think it's generally hard to get a read on where they're going to go.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to needs. It's the same thing with key forwards.
With the ruck question, I just had a question. Is there any sort of mature age, like Scott Jones type of ruck that's been bandied around?
There is Zach Clark.
Yeah, I was going to say
Clark,
Subiaco, he's the real obvious one.
Not that I'm aware of. Obviously, being a WA boy, I'm only really aware of the waffle.
Yeah.
So Zach Clark would have been my suggestion. As for VFL, SANFL, rucks, I'm not too sure.
No one's
not gonna
worthy
lie.
of being heard of.
Mumford.
No, no one's really come across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what's happened with him.
Yeah.
He's probably butchered any chance he had of a comeback.
Don't know, it sounds like he still has a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see someone just be completely disregarded because
They enjoy a bit of nose candy.
I mean, yeah, not necessarily because of that. Just I just like people to be given second chances. I think most people deserve a second chance. And I hate to see someone just banned for life for that.
Oh, what are you doing this for, Jesse?
I was actually itchy. I was scratching my nose innocently.
So yeah, he's another one that could still get picked up.
Yeah. Cool. So we just went through the sliders. I think we got on a massive tangent, did we?
We talked about rucks. Yeah.
That's what it was. No, it wasn't that much of a tangent. Yeah. Bolters. So players that you think will go higher than they are currently estimated.
I think Stock has a chance to go top 10.
Yeah.
Or around the 10 mark.
Yeah.
Whereas I think 2 months ago.
True. True.
I don't think anyone's gonna. I mean, it's the top, especially 5 is. And really, the top 10 is very set this year, isn't it? It's hard to see.
Top 8.
Maybe.
Last year, we sort of saw Andrew Brayshaw come from maybe like a top 20 to being number 2.
True.
It's really.
He's not that bad.
You can't see anyone
pick number 2.
doing that this year, can you?
You never
Going
know,
that
though.
high.
You never know. Like, you'll be following the draft and then. You'll just read an article, St Kilda are considering Bailey Williams, the ruck, to go at pick 4. That won't happen, but you know what I mean? It does happen.
Yeah, but it won't happen.
Not Bailey Williams, but I reckon the top 5 is still open, personally.
Okay.
But there is definitely an elite 8 in certain terms of talent. From
So they say, Yeah, I'd agree with that. My bolter, I've got a few. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I've said his name like 5 times, but Ned McHenry. Just got a stinky feeling that Geelong are going to pounce at pick 12.
Okay.
Or Sam Sturt. Both would be.
You said that the other day.
Yeah, just because I feel like they need a pressure forward. He's a Geelong Falcons boy, and I feel like Geelong are one of those clubs that just are happy to reach for the player.
Yeah.
I mean, reach is it's about perception. Like we think it's a reach, but they think it's probably about right.
Oh, yeah,
but they're a little bit off the a little bit left field.
A reach isn't really a reach if they prove to be right in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a bit of a misused word. Like we say, he bolted and slid, but really, it's just comparing what the media or us how we perceive the drafts. But every club will have massively different subjective rankings.
No, that's it.
Stocko, I said Eli Smith. I think is a good one. I reckon he'll go top 20. I'm thinking Brisbane Lions at this point. He's a big-bodied inside mid from Vic Country. I guess it's not that much of a bolt. I just think he'll go top 20 when, at the moment, he's probably considered more around 30.
Have you read much about Jack Bytel?
I had him as a slider that I didn't mention.
Because he's had a few very big games, I've noticed this year. I was just reading about.
Another inside mid
Yeah.
type.
from a good club as well.
It's hard to get a read on him. I've seen, we're doing my own research, what other fandom drafters think he could go in the 20s or he could go 45 plus from what I've read. Don't have a strong view on him myself.
Here's one I would like for Fremantle. Maybe have a look at around that 31.
What's your next pick after 31? Is it quite late, Fremantle?
40 something.
40s.
Oh, yeah. Well,
49.
49,
49.
Small chance he'd still be there. Who knows? It's possible. I would have said Warple wouldn't have been available at the pick he was taken. And he's probably comparable to Warple, I think.
Yeah, similar sort of player.
Yeah. Another WA bolter, I'll say Luke Foley. Overage midfielder.
Yeah.
I had some knocks on him last year. I think he clearly didn't get drafted. Has kind of rectified them. I think he's a bit more of a contested player now.
Yeah.
I think there's a sneaky chance West Coast will consider him. They don't mind their undervalued overage midfielders. Braden Ainsworth, Hamish Brayshaw.
Yeah.
Luke Foley's the same mould.
It all comes down to character with those sorts of players, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially with West Coast, I think.
The fact that he could go away and come back
True.
and get better shows that he probably is really good character.
True.
I think Hamish Brayshaw probably... I mean,
Same
you don't
deal.
like to say it, but he would have got helped big time by his character and his pedigree, his name.
Yeah. True. A bit more attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to his credit, though, he had a pretty good first season at
he
West
did.
Coast. Yeah, had a 40 possession game for East Perth.
He looks like a good player. I think it's more a fitness thing with him.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so hard to pick. Bolters are a lot harder to pick than sliders generally, I think.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
bolters can just come from nowhere.
They're probably not bolters at all. It's just the clubs will have their list. Nothing changes. It's just the media get wind of it and then boom, bolter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Noah Bolter.
Yeah, that was
is
a
a
pun.
person.
That was a pun we did a little bit of last year.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
HK Pig. Did I say H? I don't say H ever. I don't know why I said HK Pig. HK Pig has another question for us.
Good grammar.
Real quick. Yeah, thanks. Who do you want your club to draft? We kind of alluded to it. Real quick. Based on Fremantle's needs, who do you boys want at pick 14 and maybe 31 as well?
Based on our needs.
Yeah, well, who would you pick, basically?
I think, I'd pick Stocker.
Yep.
Second choice, Taylor.
Curtis Taylor, forward,
Yeah.
yep. Because you've sort of said that you want Fremantle to have like a forward option who can play mid. You think that's something they are missing?
I think Fremantle probably a little bit light on mids, so
Sure.
yeah.
Lockie Neal out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think Stocker's the obvious choice if he's available.
Yep.
Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
think Clark as well. I like the look of Jordan Clark as well.
Interesting.
Halfback. I
could
think
see
we're pretty good.
mid. I could see him play a bit of mid.
Yeah.
And now for Blakely's going to be a full-time midfield again, there's a spot back in the back line.
true. That is true.
But I mean, you're also looking at the squad in 5 years. What's it going to look like? Jordan Clark. I think he's going to be a very good halfback, and I think there's a good chance if he's there at 14, he will be best available.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd probably pick Stocker
And
first.
that's how we pick generally.
Yeah, I'd pick Stocker first.
If they're both available.
At this
You'd have to
stage,
think they probably won't be, won't you? So it might just come down to who's
who's there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very happy with either, realistically.
No, I
Yeah.
would be happy with either.
Yeah.
There's never anything bad with getting like decent WA talent, even if you kind of sort it in that position. You know, you're kind of getting a good 10-year player.
Yep. True.
What about yourself, Jesse?
As for West Coast, 20 and 22.
20 and 22.
Yeah, so you get two bites of the apple. I'm pretty happy with the players that are probably going to be available at this stage.
Yeah.
So our desperate needs are rucks and tall defenders in terms of our list balance for the future. Because the rucks we have are all about 27 or older. And the key backs we have one outside the best 22, and that's Will Schofield.
What would you be annoyed if you went Bailey Williams with one of those picks?
I think yes. At this stage, I think that's reaching. I'd get over it. But I mean, like we want someone who can ruck.
Last year at the draft, being honest, would you say you were slightly disappointed with the players you picked at the time?
I was stoked with Brander and Allen. I was disappointed with Ryan at 26, and I'll put my hand up and say that was probably wrong considering his role in the grand final win.
Petruccelli?
Yeah.
and Ainsworth.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with them as such. I wanted mids early. I believed the West Coast had a real desperation for mid.
Yeah.
If you're just asking I thought Ainsworth and Petruccelli were reaches. It still remains to be seen. That could still be the case.
Yeah,
I wanted
that's
Warple.
true.
To be fair, I did call for Warple. And,
I think all of us were calling for Warple after pick 35, and
True,
then it just kept not going, and we were like, "What the hell's going on?"
I wanted him at 26.
Yeah.
So
And Hawks have got a steal there, I reckon.
they have. Bailey Williams. The concern, I guess, with him would be that is he a key forward more? Because if he is, then we really don't need him. And 22 can be. I think there's better talents. So, to long-winded question, I don't think there's any good rucks or tall defenders in the range of these picks. So I would go mid and or defender. I'll say Luke Valente. I'm hoping he's available. South Australian under-18 captain.
About to say, I think Valente is a good pick. That's disregarding anyone who's just done a massive slide or anything like that. I think. But there is danger of Adelaide or Port picking him up.
True.
For you.
He's a very West Coast pick though. He's leadership.
He is. I agree.
Not necessarily super athletic, but he's footy smart.
Yeah.
Good skills.
Yeah.
Very Dom Sheed, Jordan Lewis-esque. And he's, did I say it? He's a safe pick, I reckon. And I think West Coast are quite conservative with their drafting. So,
Okay.
And then Valente, and I think someone like Mclennan, like I alluded to earlier, bit of a favourite of mine. But honestly, there's probably about 10 players. I've really changed over the draft. I used to really narrow in on a favourite. Yeah. And now I'm realising you just going to open yourself a heartache.
You make yourself look like an idiot as well.
True, yeah. You make complaining straight after the draft. I tried not to do that too much last year. Ongoing, try not to get your hopes up because you're probably going to be wrong. I really wanted Blake Acres over Dom Sheed in 2013.
Yeah.
Blake Acres is not a bad player at all, but Dom Sheed just won a grand final off his boot. One of the best grand final goals of all time. So,
yeah.
So there's no point getting too caught up.
I totally agree. Like we said, hindsight will make you look like an idiot.
That's it. But it is all part of the fun.
That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Busher, what about yourself?
Well, you said Clark, didn't you?
Yeah, Clark.
Jordan Clark, yeah.
Or Stocker I'd be happy with as well. At 31, if Ian Hill's around, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be upset, I think. On talent. That's probably a good pick. And like you said, he's got both his cousins there, so keep a bit of an eye on him. Not saying that
we're not going to lose him. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't think
not
so.
Not that that's a definitive factor, but it's just... If all things equal, I go the local kid, all things equal.
Sure.
Speaking of which, very happy that the other day Walters pretty much became a Docker for life.
Yes, true. Very good player. I don't think there was too much risk of him leaving, to be honest. But excellent player. Probably my favourite Docker, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay.
I like watching him play. I think he's a good player.
Who's your favourite Eagle?
Eagle?
You got to give me one.
JK.
Yeah, he seems like a good bloke. That's probably why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a very good choice.
Good bloke. I've been envious for years because I've wanted
you love your key forwards. Yeah.
Exactly. I've wanted a key forward that good since forever.
Maybe don't lean in. You're in the camera shot, by the way.
I
hope that hasn't been the case for too long. Who's your favourite Eagle? Luke Shuey?
Yeah, for sure. Nah. Let's be real. Favourite... I really like Barras at the moment.
Okay.
Just in terms of, I think he's a little bit underrated.
True. Fair enough.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that aren't Eagles fans that really like Barras. He's a popular pick.
Yeah. I reckon,
plus he's good mates with Darty.
Yeah. They wear the matching tracksuits or whatever the hell it is.
Barras is one of those players, he's... in his own words, he falls into the shit kicker role when McGovern's playing, he reckons. And then when McGovern's out, we saw him playing a really good game against GWS. He's the sort of guy, if you gave him more responsibility, I think he could really make a name for himself. But
I also don't mind Redden now. Proof that.
Yeah, Redden's cool.
Yeah, seems like him.
True, he did, yeah. That's something he should be given credit for. I was not a Redden fan at all.
I think a lot of Eagles weren't,
Yeah.
A lot of non-Eagles weren't as well.
I always thought he was a good bloke. There was just his playing.
Always good to see players come good, and I think I alluded a lot to later in the year how Chris Mayne had some really good games. And it was good to see him bring it back as well for Collingwood.
Teaches us a football lesson every time something like that happens. We're not to write off players after one or two bad years.
It just goes to show how much your mental state or how much your confidence can impact of how good a player you are.
Even to go an NBA example here, Derrick Rose, you guys would be familiar with Derrick
50
Rose.
points.
He drew the youngest ever MVP. He's had a brutal run with injuries the past 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, he had a 50-point game the other day and walked off the court crying because he was just that happy.
Oh, wow.
It was a real nice
Wasn't he
moment.
accused of rape?
I think so. He had some sort of.
Wow, that's one big game.
But yeah, I think there was some sort of. I don't know if I forget what it was, but I know he's been accused of something. I can't really recall.
Jeez, that's hectic.
Not saying he's guilty, no.
Yeah. Anyway,
Off that subject.
we've got one last question, boys, before we finish up, I reckon. This has nothing to do with the draft, but Bruce has asked us. It's a bit of a fun question. Who are the best brothers in the AFL?
Ooh.
Brad Scott, Chris Scott? Nah, current
Is
players.
this
current
historically or current?
No.
It's different.
I was joking.
Current, you could argue the Hill boys.
I think they're up there.
I think the Langdon brothers for form are not
inform.
in terms of Steva, but on form they're both. Very
I
good.
still think, maybe biased, but I think the McGovern brothers.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
But there's also the
Well,
Crouch
I feel
brothers.
like one McGovern's really dragging the other one there personally.
I think Mitch is pretty good. There's always one that's way better than the other. If you look at, the Hill brothers...
Crouch brothers are very good, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good one.
The Jones brothers, a little bit. Obviously, Zach
Rowan.
Jones not quite as good. Rowan Jones. And the Selwood brothers is an iffy one, but Scott Selwood is a very good tagger, and
Joel.
And Joel is obviously fantastic.
Well, you can pick which combination of Selwood brothers suits your needs the most.
I'll go Troy and Adam.
I think Adam is the biggest ragtag role player I think I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy just look like he literally moved like a 65-year-old when he was 28.
True.
But he was a warrior of a player, a very brave player.
Yeah. One of those real
So brave,
role
so
players.
courageous.
Yeah. So what was it? I'd say McGovern.
And as we alluded to earlier, the Cameron brothers, Jeremy and
and Charlie.
yeah,
Do you remember Voss had a brother, Michael Voss?
yeah, he did.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Was that
Yeah,
Brett?
I think that was a Brett.
Yeah, St Kilda.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that to me the other day. I was
And
like,
Adam Good's brother who played for Bulldogs.
oh, Brett Goods. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Brett brothers. The Brett's always the worst brother.
Poor Brett.
Wait, I did have a list up. No, I closed it.
Any more off the top of your heads?
No,
Well,
I actually had a
all time
list of draftee
all time.
brothers.
I had one in my head before.
The Lappin
You
brothers.
just swear?
I did.
Yeah, I'm going to have to edit that out.
The Lappin brothers, and they were both very
Yeah.
good players as well.
Nigel and
The
Matthews.
Rockers.
Were they brothers?
Yeah.
The Rockers. Is
Are
what
they?
I was thinking of.
Rockers?
I was thinking of the
Yeah.
Rockers.
Yeah, the Rockers are very high profile brothers, actually.
Didn't Nigel Lappin...
They're definitely brothers.
Bit off topic, but Nigel Lappin, I think, had to have 3 separate injections to get through one of the Brisbane Grand Finals.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
he was like,
I think McGovern
in a
had something
very,
like...
very bad way.
I think McGovern had more than that this year.
Wow.
Did you hear about what happened with McGovern?
Yeah, did he break a rib or something?
They were wondering about him having broken a rib in the prelim. He didn't. He had like a really bad cork or something. There's internal bleeding. He's piss and blood. Couldn't run the day before the game. Had a ton of injections. On top of that, in the game, Mason Cox falls on him and he breaks his ribs. Ironically,
Jesus.
what a legend though!
I just love him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than JK, he'd probably be my favourite Eagle.
There's been some amazing grand final performances like that. Daniel Kerr is another one who fractured his leg in a grand final, kept playing. Daniel Hanbury, I believe, did he do his PCL and keep playing?
Oh, yeah, he did.
He
That
did? Yeah.
And he played very well, too.
Yeah, so immense respect for people who do that sort of thing. That's
Fife had a
ridiculous.
fractured leg in the final, not the grand final,
okay.
but final against Hawks.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. That's right. I do remember that, actually.
Yeah.
2015.
Just before we went to shit, basically.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, boys.
Building sustained success.
Yeah, anyway, boys, I think that was a pretty good draft preview. A little bit better than last year's, which was shocking.
I loved last year's. I know some people complained about the 3.5 hour.
Did they?
I think it went for longer than the Return of the King extended edition.
I think we got the format a little bit better this year. If you want to talk to us about the draft, join our Discord chat. The link is in the description. I'm also going to make a big thread on Big Footy, with our fandom draft. Also, like us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll also post our fandom drafts on there and any questions, like, just hit us up. Know what I'm saying?
Slide in the DMs.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. We're going to have a lot of draft-related stuff. We just didn't want to pack it into a podcast because it didn't work last time. So
yeah.
Cool.
And shout out to our boy Kaboom, giving us support every week on the channel. So
he's a legend.
Cheers, buddy.
He's very active in the community, in the AFL online community.
Give him a follow as well and a subscribe.
True, yes, makes very good AFL videos. Nice one. Cool. All right, see you guys.